I'm going to show you a sidechain trick at the end of this video that goes absolutely batshit crazy. It's a trick I learned from a multi-platinum mixing engineer, and it completely changed the way my kick and bass interact forever. It might actually be the secret code to getting my tracks ready for the main stage. But before we get to that, we need to talk about the physical pain. Because up until a few weeks ago, listening to my own music was physically hurting me. It felt like someone was taking a microscopic ear pick and driving it straight into my eardrums. I was tired, I was frustrated, and I was running out of time. You guys know my ultimate goal. I was given a second chance at life, and I'm not wasting a single second of it. My overarching mission on this channel, the reason I wake up every single day, is to make the absolute best songs for you, the listener. So one day, you'll come see me headline Coachella. But you can't headline Coachella if your music sounds like shattered glass. So I bought a plugin called Soothe. I slapped it on my mixes and I am officially a changed man. Let's rewind a bit. For me, I'm recording right in my car. It's not $1 million acoustic sanctuary, it's a real normal recording scenario. But I have a strict, non-negotiable objective. I have to finish one release-ready song every single month. Time is my most precious resource. In the past, I used to go on Fiverr. I pay a guy like $20-something to mix my songs because I wanted to save time and I didn't have a massive record deal budget. But every time I got the bounce back, the result was the same. The track would just sound harsh. And right now, I'm actively trying to train my ears to mix like the pros. My ears are highly sensitive right now because I'm hyper-focused on every detail. When your mix has unregulated harsh frequencies, it's not just an annoyance, it's a physical sensation. You physically wince when the hi-hats hit. I was getting listener fatigue within 20 minutes of opening my session. If I don't fix this, my songs will never sound insane enough to compete with the top 0.1% of artists. If I can't compete, the Coachella dream dies in my car. The stakes are literally my entire future. I realized I couldn't rely on cheap Fiverr mixes anymore. If I wanted a good sounding bounce, I have to take control. Back when I was trying to save money, I relied entirely on Logic stock plugins. But here's a reality check. Logic stock EQs is great for broad strokes, but they don't have a dedicated resonance suppression feature. They can't automatically hunt down the bad stuff. So I'd sit there doing the boost and sweep method where you lift the Q up. You know the drill, right? I'd watch guys on Mix with the Masters find the exact frequency and surgically EQ it out. But for me, there was simply too many frequencies and it was way too labor intensive. My mixing needed to be quick. I have 1 month per song. I don't have the time, the knowledge, or decades of experience to mainly hunt down every single frequency that's going to pop out and just ruin my vocal take. I needed a solution, but I had no idea what it was. Then, the YouTube algorithm gods smiled upon me. I was randomly strolling late one night, eyes burning from the monitor glare, and I saw a short from this guy named Jason Joshua. If you don't know him, he is an incredibly talented multi-platinum mixing engineer. And he was raving about this plugin called Soothe. He emphasized it so heavily that I stopped scrolling. I didn't fully understand what it was doing under the hood, but the way he talked about it, I knew I had to check it out. Last year, I switched over to Luna, and when you dive into the universal audio ecosystem, you're basically forced to level up your plugin game. I realized I couldn't afford to use cheap or free tools anymore, not financially, but sonically. It doesn't make sense to say you can't afford to use free things, but it's the truth. If I want a premium sounding bounce, I have to invest in premium sounding gear. There is no way around it. So I bit the bullet, I bought Soothe. It's not cheap. You feel it leave your bank account. But the moment I purchased it, I slapped it on every single track that was giving me a headache. I'm going to break down the 3 specific ways I used it, why I put them there, and how my mixes progressively transformed from amateur to pro sounding. First up, the acoustic guitar sample. I had this guitar sample in my first big project. I actually didn't even think it was problematic at the first, but I knew something was wrong. I couldn't put it into words, but there was a harsh metallic plucking sound that was clogging up the mid-range. Normally, I'd pull up FabFilter Pro Q3. Now, it's an amazing EQ, but here's a massive constraint. To dynamically suppress resonances the way I needed it to do, it introduces latency. When you are an artist recording in a normal room, latency is the ultimate creativity killer. You press play or you trigger your sample and you feel that microsecond of delay, it completely pulls you out of the pocket. I despise having latency in my playback. I need everything to feel instantaneous. So I bypassed that filter and I threw Soothe on the guitar. Instantly, the harsh plucking frequencies just disappeared. It didn't muffle the guitar as well. It didn't kill the high end. It just found the exact problematic frequencies automatically and reduced them in real time. It was literally soothing the audio, just like when you soothe a baby. It took the aggression out and left the warmth. I didn't have to do any complex spectral analysis. It just worked. That was a win. But then I decided to look at the most important element of any track, my vocals. I'll be honest, I'm a pretty confident guy. My ego was speaking loudly that day. I'm tracking through a short SM7D beat. This is famously a very dark, smooth microphone. It's not a TLM103 that's going to give you heavily accentuated high end. In my head, I'm thinking, there's nothing wrong with my vocals. My vocal chain is solid. I don't need resonant suppression. I was wrong. I put Soothe on my vocal bus and the veil was lifted. Even with a dark mic, recording in my car still introduces weird resonances. Plus, the human voice naturally has harsh build-ups when you push your chest voice or hit certain consonants. I open it up, there are two modes, soft mode and hard mode. For vocals, hard mode is a bit too aggressive for my taste. It can almost make you sound a little bit lispy if you push it too far, but I set it to soft mode. I cranked the depth dial to about 6 or 7, aiming for -3 or 4 dB of gain reduction on the loudest peaks. And guys, this is an EQ on absolute steroids. It hunted down the bad stuff like the heat-sinking missiles. It took away the physical ear pain I was experiencing earlier. My vocal suddenly sounded like it was recorded in $1 million facility, not in my car. It saved me hours of time, hours that I can actually spend writing, recording, and being an artist instead of being a frustrated engineer sweeping EQs.
Good hotel, hands on her waist, I don't tell. Valet parked midnight V12. Watch how this story unfolds. Burn it up, it's nothing to me. Turn it up, neon glow through the heat. Keep it up until the...
But I warned you not to get too crazy with it. For vocals and guitars, you want to be subtle. However, if you stay with me until this point in this video, your patience is about to pay off because I'm going to show you the third way I use this plugin. And this is where you can absolutely go batshit crazy. Let's talk about sidechaining. If you make any modern music, you know the purpose of a sidechain. To keep it simple, you want to duck the bass frequencies out of the way every time the kick drum hits. You want the kick to punch through the chest and the bass to wrap around it. In EDM, they use this to create the massive rhythmic pumping effect. For the longest time, I used a plugin called Kickstart by Nicky Romero. It's a classic, but I didn't really like it for my style of music. It gave my tracks this weird, unnatural feel, especially when my kick drum wasn't hitting in a 4 on the floor pattern. Every plugin colors your sound, and Kickstart was coloring mine in a way that felt kind of cheap. So I diverted it to the traditional round. I started using a clean compressor like the FabFilter Pro C3. But my workflow became an absolute mess. I was putting an EQ on the bass, then trying to sidechain the EQ, then wanting to sidechain the compressor. I was running things all over the place. I was overdoing it, overcomplicating it, and wasting time that was precious, and I didn't have too much time. Then, the YouTube gods intervened for the second time. I saw another clip of Jason Joshua, and he dropped a piece of knowledge that rewired my brain. He explained how you can use Soothe to make the drum infinitely more pronounced without using heavy compression, and without getting the distracting pumping effect. Instead of ducking the volume of the bass when the kick hits, what if you only duck the exact specific frequencies that the kick drum is taking up? I routed the kick drum into the sidechain input of Soothe, which was placed on my bass track. I switched Soothe from soft mode to hard mode. Remember earlier when I said I didn't use hard mode? Well, throw that rule out the window. For kick and bass, hard mode goes incredibly hard. I turned the depth dial all the way up. I aimed for about 12 dB of gain reduction. I pressed spacebar. Oh my God, it was a godsend. It literally blew my mind away because Soothe was only pulling down the exact frequencies of the kick drum, and only for the millisecond the kick was playing. The bass stayed massive and heavy, but the kick punched through with absolute pristine clarity. I've never heard my low end sound this good in my entire life. Now the harshness was gone, the mud was gone, the impact was stadium level. So we come back to the ultimate question, is a plugin this expensive actually worth the higher price tag? For me, the answer is an overwhelming, undeniable yes. When I sit down to mix now, I don't dread it. I know I have a song to finish this month, and I know I have the tools to do it. I just sit down by my computer, I put my headphones on, and I fly. I don't even think about the mechanical hurdles anymore. I enter a complete flow state. I have Soothe saved on my presets on my individual tracks. I drop it in, I sit back, and I forget about it. It's doing all the heavy lifting. It saves me countless hours that I used to spend staring at spectral analyzers, pulling my hair out trying to figure out, why is this 3K so painful? I got my time back. I got my workflow back. And most importantly, my ears don't hurt anymore. I am one massive step to making the quality of music that deserves to be played at Coachella. If you're serious about your sound and you want to stop letting harsh frequencies ruin your art, you need to look into this workflow. By the way, I'm not being paid to say this. If this helped you out, or if you know the struggle of trying to make a stadium level music out of your bedroom, hit subscribe. If you guys want to see me rank universal audio plugins, make sure to click the link right here. And I'll see you in the next one.